Hello, hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? Please say hi in the comment section and let me know where you're joining me from. Hi, everyone. I am Ingrid Laster. I am a digital accessibility expert and founder at Linoratech. My company support organization leaders and developers create inclusive and accessible product for everyone, including people with visible and invisible disabilities. As always, I love to describe myself because in the audience, sometimes we have people with low vision or people who are blind. I am a black woman. I'm currently rocking my short, poofy hair. Yes, black hair. And I am wearing a tilt suit and a white shirt, I would say. And that's about it. If you never tried describing yourself, try it in the comment. Don't feel shy. We are not here to judge. Today, I am here with an incredible guest speaker. Have you ever wondered how inclusion and accessibility is impacting branding? Well, I have an interesting guest speaker who knows a lot about branding. And guess what? She knows a lot about accessibility too. So please help me welcome on stage my dear good friend Amy. Amy, I am bringing you in. Again, guys, if you are hearing anything that resonates with you or if you have any question, feel free to use the comment and drop something. We can address those live. And if you're watching the recording, hey, still drop something. We can still always go back to the event and see the comment. Amy, welcome to the show. Amy, can you please describe and tell who you are to the audience?
Yes, hi. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Amy Pedid, and my pronouns are she, her. If, like you said, Lenora, if you don't like to look at the screen or you have low vision, my description is I have, shoulder length brown hair, and I am pale skin with some freckles. And I also am wearing just a brown tunic right now, or sorry, a blue tunic right now. For my role, I'm a creative director and founder of the Sage Mages, and we are a design studio that helps brands embed accessibility and inclusion into every part of their identity. I originally have a background in art direction and brand design, focused in retail marketing, which has very diverse audiences. But I've also had a lot of B2C work as well, and B2B work. My focus right now is on brand accommodation. So using those accessibility principles to make logos, colors, fonts, messaging work for every audience. And I'm developing a framework we'll talk about today as well to make it easy for everyone.
I'm excited. Yes, yes, and yes. So excited to have you here, Amy. I mean, one of the biggest things that sometimes people get confused about is what is branding? Many people, probably in your circle by now, know what is branding, but sometimes we have people who don't fully understand what is branding, and then we can dive into some of those questions to understand even the impact of accessibility in branding and an interesting story as well from Nike, guys. Nike. Okay, I'm not saying much. Please, Amy, what is branding?
Well, when people hear the word branding, they can think of a lot of different things, especially if they're in corporate or if they're in small businesses. It's all very different. For me, when I work with my clients, I really talk about communication design, right? That system of signals that help people recognize, understand, trust you, and move along in the brand experience process. I bet you've thought of a few different brands or a few different products where you really liked maybe their commercial, or you really liked something, that you had a flyer, you saw something that you really liked, but then you went into the store and it was a different experience, or you just were affected differently. So brand is a beautiful way to make that consistent, again, to trust you, the visual, verbal, and emotional.
Oh, I love that. It's like almost Coca-Cola. When I see red and the bottle, I kind of just associate that color theme with Coca-Cola. And I know other places where when I see something, I'm like, yeah, kind of recognize that. And I love that you kind of clarify that for us. One other thing that is interesting because my expertise is more into the digital product, meaning website, digital application, or even PDF document or any type of digital document. But I love that your expertise lend into branding and accessibility. Amen. Can we talk about Nike first, and then you can tell me what is the impact of accessibility inclusion toward branding?
Yes. And, we'll talk about Nike, but I really want everyone here to envision their own brand, their own company. If they don't have one, just a brand or company that you really love. What the story will do is kind of get you thinking about your customer journey and all the pain points. And accessibility can be overwhelming. I think that's why we like to share stories. And this one I really love. It was Steph Reed, and she's right now living in the UK. She's a former world champion Paralympic long jumper and sprinter. And I want to get that right because it's amazing. It's amazing what she does. But when she runs, she prefers a carbon fiber blade leg prosthetic. Now, if you haven't seen one of these prosthetics, they don't need a shoe, right? It's carbon fiber. It can be attached to a knee or a thigh, and then it goes all the way down to the foot, all carbon fiber material, and it has a arc to it to help her run. And again, with these kinds of prosthetics, you don't need a shoe with it. So for her, she had the prosthetic on her right foot, but then she needed a running shoe for her left foot, so just one shoe. And it's impossible, she found out, to actually find a shoe, just purchase one shoe at any store or manufacturer.
Yes, it's
Uh,
always coming in pair.
it always comes in pairs. So when she was frustrated about this, she looked online. Again, we were thinking about branding online or digital and also in store. This story has both. She was really frustrated about going online, trying to go to every single type of shoe to find she was looking for just one shoe. And she kind of gave up a little bit. And this is a common story for a lot of these runners. It wasn't until she actually went into a Nike store, she saw a display, and one of the mannequins had a running blade, and she was so excited. She's like, "This is amazing! Like, this is great!" So she went in the store and she went up to the counter and she tried to request one shoe. Again, this is in the UK. And they said, "Nope, sorry, we can't do that." They recommended that she go online and go into the feedback system to actually message the company and see what they can do. But when she messaged them, she she pretty much got a message saying, "Well, you're in the UK. We do have a one shoe bank program, but it's only in the US." And
Ah,
so it's frustration, frustration, frustration,
yeah.
right? All these different pain points where a brand had so many different instances to accommodate. She's at this point now where yeah, thanks.
I just wanted to try that. A sad trumpet. Yes, this is not cool. But yes, continue.
No, you're good. That's perfect. Well, and when you get to that point, you think, well, I can keep messaging the company, but she also had a really big audience online. So she went and she shared her story. It got viral. BBC actually did a story on her for this and got to talk to other people who are, again, had the same kind of frustration. It wasn't just Nike, there were other stores doing this as well. And finally, Nike messaged back and said, "Okay, we really want to have your voice and input." So, yay, Nike, for responding. Again, that's a part of the brand value, part of the brand tone. How are you being consistent with that? So, it's okay if you fail or if something happens, but how are you responding to that as a brand as well?
I agree.
Uh,
Ooh, I love that. I love that. It kind of shows also almost like what I have been doing in my journey in a way that, nowadays there are a lot of organizations who are aware that accessibility and inclusion is really important because it helps serve many people with diverse abilities. But sometimes what they agreed upon is not the same as what they implement. And I like that story because this lady that you spoke about, she saw an example of someone almost like her in the advertisement of Nike. You will think that, okay, everyone has it now in Nike, they get it. But then here she goes, and there's nothing. So they show something, but the implementation internally in the organization was not reflecting that inclusiveness. I just love that. So tell me a little bit. You said that there are some common mistakes that happen also in branding, and you have frameworks to help and empower organization. But before that, I see someone said hi. I want to acknowledge that. Please don't feel shy. Say hi. Tell me where you're coming from. Okay, where you are joining us from. I see Abdul. Hi, Abdul. He said hi, Amy. Abdul, we're so happy to have you. Again, if you have any question at any point in time for Amy or you need clarification, hey, she's here. Take advantage. Connect and ask question. And if you're hearing something that you feel was valuable or you understand, you agree, just give us a thumbs up, a reaction. We'll take everything, even a heart. So, Amy, yes, tell me a little bit. So, what are some of the few issues that we can see in branding when it comes to accessibility? And, let's talk about framework.
Well, first and foremost, there are accessibility frameworks and principles and certificates and amazing people that's their whole job. Again, thank you so much, Laura. but, and I love connecting with that community because they have the front row seat of this, and I love getting consultations and evaluations from them. But it is very focused on web. It is very focused on products, on tech, on digital. And I've looked at these standards. I love these standards. There's also a universal design, which again is factored mostly into architecture and physical environments. So you have this digital, you have this physical, and then brand, right, is everywhere. So right now I'm working on a six lens framework, which pulls from WCAG, WCAG, but it also pulls from Universal Design. And at the end of the day, it goes back to what's your brand system, your brand guide. What is that brand instruction that you're giving every single member, employee that you have? And what I love to do is to distill it down and say, yay, you have WCAG, you have accessibility, you have universal design, but let's really focus on the six key parts of your brand.
Mm,
And so those six key parts that I've been working with this community on is tone of voice,
yes.
logo, color, fonts, media, and UX.
Yes. And I think that those are very important, especially when we see that there is a big community of people with disabilities who might have like visual impairment, right? Visual impairment, such as a person who's blind. Imagine someone who's blind landing on your website. How do they recognize your brand? They can't see. So there should be something with consistency that tells them what this website is about. It is quite interesting when you're talking about logo, Amy, because I have been in some website where the logo itself didn't even have an alternative text. So the person will just hear a number or a file name. And I was like, how do they know that this is your website? Can you imagine? You just missed the bullet. Like it could be any website. Well, of course, they're gonna read through and figure out that this is the
Mm-hmm.
website, but it's not easy to just put a proper text alternative. And you were talking about color. I just love it. Can you tell us some of the failures that can happen with colors?
Oh, color is a really fun one.
I love that.
What I love to do is I do like to pull the framework from, I think it's Microsoft Inclusive Design, that they talk about permanent, situational, and temporary disabilities. So when we're thinking about color for permanent, it's a sense of someone with color blindness or um, someone. Even what's fun is that we all see different shades as
Yes,
well, right? So it's that temporary situational abilities to it. But it's also the fact where like your brand guide said these colors, but there's a rogue employee or somebody that is going to add another color or do that. there's that inconsistency that happens. There's that cognitive load that happens of someone getting confused because they don't know exactly what's going on. But it can be as detrimental as they don't get the message because you're using low color contrast
Mm.
or you're using a color. Yeah, thanks, Sim. It's not with my hands. You're using a color combination that is not legible at all to people that have color blindness. So, as a designer, as a someone who's a brand strategist, I love thinking about that because it's another way for me to pressure test what I'm creating, to go to client meetings and saying, yes, I know you really like this color, but I tested it and we need to do X, Y, and Z, right? So it's a great way to go to those meetings and not only give yourself support, but advocate for that community.
I love that. I love that. And I've been in places where discussion around the design happened. And luckily, this company brought me also early on with a team of fabulous people to give them a feedback quickly before this brand strategy get implemented down the line. But you said also something that was quite interesting. And the reason why I think that is important that people listen to you, Amy, is because what you are providing in terms of clarity and support start at the very beginning, and that align with the strategy of going far left. Imagine you build a house and at the end you're like, there's no kitchen in the house or there's no bathroom. I mean, this is going to cost a lot to build that back in. But the strategy, when it's laid down properly and it's made inclusive through a good lens for accessibility, it means that everything that goes, during the building cycle kind of just align with that. But you also made a good point because you said, hey, listen, if you are not creating a branding that is strong and easy to share with the members, it can create friction and it can also create failures. And here is the thing, working again with organization, I see organization hiring third party vendor, right? They bring vendor and they say, this is what we want. And yeah, just use our branding. And the vendor like, I don't even know what color they use. Let's just copy whatever color we see, but the contrast could be different from their side, or someone will not get the proper, hexa value for the color and choose something closer but something that could be failing. But because it's so close to the eye, they will say, we did everything right. And not having someone to test again, then you're exposing your company to limitation, to
Mm-hmm.
exclusion, or to lawsuit. So I love what you just said at the beginning. So in terms like, so when you meet like a leader, let's say, we have fantastic leaders, and leaders usually want the best for customers, they want the best for employees. But I also have heard leaders that are in denial. They think accessibility is not important. And probably they think accessibility is not important for branding. Can you just share a little bit of light there?
What I like to do is to remind them that they're already enjoying accommodations without realizing it.
Mhm.
Um, if you like dark mode on websites, if you get eye strain like me, and I usually don't like websites unless they have dark mode in this situation, you're already enjoying these. So when you say that, well, we don't have an investment for accessibility, what you're saying is you believe you have limited resources, and that usually is the money or the budget. But what I love about my framework, and then also the resources I give, is that there are free things to do. The color contrast checker that WCAG has, WebAIM also has one. There's a lot of amazing web checkers.
Great.
It's free. All you have to do is figure out what a hex code is, and some people don't. That's okay. Um, that's when you say, okay, like, do we need like a little 15-minute training video or meeting? There's fun challenges you can do, like, hey, let's go on the website or social media and like let's pull some colors and just like check it out. Let's have fun with it. Um, when I talk to companies again, and it's corporate to small business,
Yes.
that's the beautiful part of this,
Mm-hmm.
is that I ask what their assumptions are,
Mm.
and when they say that the audience is too small,
Yes.
right? Then I think I ask them, well, what are your brand values? What are your company goals?
Mm.
And connect them to their audience. And what's beautiful is that, yes, there's a stat of like 1 in 5, 1 in 4 people have disabilities,
Yes.
but there's a bigger stat with that community and with the audience and with the advocates. And there's this amazing community. They supported Steph when she shared her story,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's way more to this than what people initially think. So.
I love it because even when I talk to leaders, they often think that the market is small, but the market is actually very huge. There are more than 1.3 billion people with a disability in the world. And what sometimes people think is that a person with a disability is just one person. But in the case of the example you just provided, that was one person for sure, but her community was more more people, and it was so huge that it made Nike think twice and say,
Mhm.
we want to embrace that. So oftentimes we have one person with a disability, but it could be really a large network with friends, with family, with workers. Like it is really a big and large market. So I love that. I see a few comments. Let's just address that quickly. And oh my gosh, time is flying so fast, Amy. Can you believe that? So I see, well, Abdul said, thanks you. Me too. Happy to see you. Oh, fantastic. I see Jacob is also here. Hi, Jacob. Jacob said, I love this talk about color. I've worked with companies before who wouldn't give up their low contrast color. Yes, pilot for anything. And that is a bummer.
Yeah.
I hope they're not gonna be sued, but it might happen. We have more increase in lawsuit because of exclusive or limiting, experiences online and physically as well.
Mhm.
So hey, watch
Can I
out.
respond real quick to that? Because I
Yes,
love
go
that.
ahead.
Um, I think it's a good thing to clarify too, right? We can have color palettes with, shades and variations, um, but there's decorative versus important content. I'm not telling everyone to just do black and white and just just to focus on that. There is minimal design. There's also chaotic
Yes,
design.
yes.
And I always ask the question, is there an alternative way to
Mm.
consume this important content? Yay, you can have a really decorative wayfinding element and lights and have fun with it. But can everybody consume that communication design,
Yes.
right?
I think that makes sense. And even when we use some of those tools to check for color contrast, if we're talking about color, it's usually a combination of two things. The foreground color, which is the color of the element versus the background color. And if the background color is just for decoration, you don't have to worry about it. But if it's impeding maybe the text information or maybe the image or maybe something
Mm-hmm.
that is important, like maybe a text field, well, here is the problem. So there is definitely a need to understand how to do that, and I love that Amy is supporting her client with that information. I see more comments, so let me read. I see, okay, we discussed Jacob. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing your experience. I see Abdul also share what's one change that could make accessibility easier for small businesses to implement. Ooh, I love this question. Amy,
Well, Abdul, I have six, but
we have just a few minutes, so
just
we
have a few
can
minutes.
list all six.
I'm going to, so yeah, I have resources on my website for the six, so things like that. But I think one thing that people don't realize
Yeah.
is that there are, if you live in America, I don't know if you're other country or not, there are tax incentives with small businesses. I don't have the number, but I think it's if the value is 50,000 or 500,000 revenue or less. Um, there's a disabled access credit that will give you an incentive, an expense in order for you to invest in it. So again, it's the sense of it's always the conversations of like, well, how are we investing in it? Another thing I like to think, like last time we talked about, is what are the brand values? What are the company values?
Mm.
And if you're not measuring accessibility, but your values are inclusivity and inequity and things, you already have a direct line to get that investment.
Exactly, exactly. And investment is such a big thing. So I love that you shared that. I see, okay, another person, Annette. Hi, Annette. So happy you're here. She said, not to mention accessibility lawsuits are expensive. Yes, in California, it's the law for web apps to be at WCG 2.1 level AA. And we have a 2.2 that is coming soon. They haven't been approved by all organizations, but I know it's just a matter of time. So, yes, Annette, thank you for sharing. And again, if you have any comment, thoughts, share them in the comment section, and we'll be happy to revisit the comment and answer them. So, time is flying. Amy, I want to hear what are some of the tips and strategy that you can really kind of offer to people. But with that, you also shared your website. I want to be mindful and share that also for anybody who want to continue the conversation with Amy or feel like I need a little bit more information. Let's switch gear here. Let me see. There you go. That's Amy website. Amy, yes, please. Any tips, strategy? Where can people level up?
I think the best tip I have for you is to start today. I know there's a looming um, legal investment with your companies, whether they be corporate or small business. But I really want you to think of what are the, you know, four, five, six things that you can act on today. Um, and the wonderful thing about that is that it can be low budget, right? It can be adding alt text to your social media. It could be double checking the color contrast. It could be double checking your tone for plain language. Again, all of these resources that I'll talk about in my workshop. And then I also have on my free cheat sheet. But I just would love to encourage everybody that, you know, I'm a small business and that if I can do this, then it brings me much joy to bring this information to other people.
Definitely. I just love that. So I think that we're gonna share later on a link in the chat just to so you can guys explore, but also connect with Amy. Amy, where can people connect with you? Where can they keep moving on with the conversation?
Yeah, happy to chat in on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram as well. And then my website is thesagemages.com. There's resources there. There's events. We have workshops all the time. I'm also always growing my creative network. So if you are a developer or an auditor, a marketer, a brand designer, I always love to share that.
Love it. Okay, I see. Let me see. I see another comment. Someone from LinkedIn. Let me track you down. Umed. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Umed Shahid. Umed said, "Hey guys, hi Umed. So happy that you're here. All right, guys. If you missed it last time, I had also a fantastic guest. Her name was also Amy with an E, and she talked about turning no into yes, and she shared a little bit about her accessibility playbook. So go on my page. On my profile, if we're not connected, make sure we're connected. Go on my page, you will find a link to her episode, and you know there's so much value in those episodes. Go and watch the replay. Okay, go and watch the replay. And so time is running fast, and I feel like last time actually we I also spoke about trying to avoid a lawsuit or attract more clients. Anyway, there are tons of resources on my profile. Just go there, connect with me, watch the replay, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Amy, is there something else you want to share, or are we good to go?
Again, Ingrid.
I am so grateful. Amy is a fantastic person. She has worked in the field for such a long time, and I really want to encourage you to connect with her, ask her questions. She's an open book, just like me. See, we were hearing like kind of a chill to blue, which means that we are happy to help. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Bye bye for now.